Alright, so we're going to do a little 5-minute video here, maybe a little bit longer, but doing the bullet holes here. I'll show you guys how to do this in just a couple easy steps using some masks that I cut on the computer, on the plotter, using Airbrushes as my design program. These are approximately 50 cal, half an inch diameter as far as the holes go. And I typically do these towards the end of the projects when I'm doing the warbirds. A couple of reasons. One, that all the graphics are done and the bullet holes would actually have gone through them. So the pecking order is as such. So you do all your weathering, your bullet holes, your rivets and everything, and then you can make a placement on these so it looks like it's strafed down the side, and you could continue them on down through here, which we will. We'll add a few, but I'm not going to spend the whole time filming. Or Diana's not going to spend the whole time filming while we're doing these. She's just going to capture. So what I start off with is kind of about a medium gray, somewhere in there on the black. It looks quite light. And I'll go in and I'll blast just around. I'll leave the circle like that. And the same thing, I'll go up here. And I'll just kind of fill that in. So the next thing I'll do is I'll go over and grab my bullet hole. And it's a little colder today. I'll double check, make sure everything's pretty dry there. And it looks like it's dry enough to put on. I'm going to place it right in the middle. Now with the new FBS tape, you could use that translucent plotter mask that they have and certainly get dead center each and every time, no problem. But it doesn't have to be perfect. So, okay, kind of picture this. This is what we call, this is an exit wound here. So the light's going to be coming down from above. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of blast this in. Nothing fancy. Then I'm going to peel it. Go ahead and put it on the other one. And I'm just going to darken that out. And you can see the contrast that exists now. So picture these things kind of coming out from the surface like this and kind of curling away from the hole, which is what they would be doing. So with that in mind, I'm going to reduce this down just a little bit more. Make sure the reduction's good. Now, stuff like this, when I'm doing a series of bullet holes, I'd like to save them last, and I'll load up 3 airbrushes, one with each color they would be using, and that would be the gray, the black, and the white. Alright, you can see that the shadow, light coming down from this way, you can pick up the highlight on the edge, so I didn't darken that. But on this edge here, which would be recessed, and then in the shade, I've obviously put some of the black in there. So I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to start with the darker area first. Easy. And I'm using some of the geography of the mask kind of help me guide through that. And lastly, I'm going to take the highlights and I'm going to put those in. Some of the highlights will be a sweeping highlight, kind of flowing with the direction of the damage to the metal. And looks like a bunch of curves, but actually when you peel it off, it'll really make sense. Like so. Now if I had, let's say, a little bit of lighter color than the black, if I was in like a drab green or something, I would take my black And I would, since this has a little bit of lighter gray here, what I'm going to do is create some shadows from some of the damage. And you can probably just barely see that, but you get more reflection from the paint than you are seeing the paint. There we go. And let's see, up here I got to do the highlights once again. I'm going to grab my finely reduced white and my detail brush. Like so. And I'll peel that off. And instant bullet holes. Now, those are outies. The innies are a little more difficult to pull off on the black surface because it just is. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. I'm going to do a little salvaging on my mask. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick an area that has a little bit of this white distressing in here. So I'm going to put that up there. I'm going to black that out. It's a different procedure. They're doing innie from an outie. So
I never even thought of that, so I'm learning something right now.
Yeah, well, you are.
Bullets go in, bullets
Some go out. Yeah, some go in one side and go out the other. Especially on these planes here. They're relatively thin-skinned. Some of them were fabric. Not so much in the U.S. fleet earlier on, but all aluminum skin. And then the areas around the cockpit, they would put armor. So you can just barely see that. So before I do the highlight, I'm going to stay with the black, and I'm probably going to use a couple different, maybe a gray here. But what I'm going to do is I want to give the impression of this being punched in to the, like that. Just so subtle. And then another, almost like a ripple underneath it. Real subtle. And that's what really the key to doing these is this subtle control of the airbrush. Like so. You really get more reflection in your, you have to come over here. Look this way. Alright, so that's innies and outies for today's session, and we'll catch you next time.